I picked up like a question that I asked. Do you believe that there is no good cops because like if a bad cop sees something, well, say if a bad cop do something and a good cop see it and don't say nothing, does that make that person as bad as the bad cop?
Who you asking? I'll tell you my opinion. I'll tell you my opinion because you don't define individuals by the role, by their job. You know, you're saying good cop, bad cop. Is it good people and bad people?
Yes.
Is it bad? Is it wrong for you to watch another individual mistreat an individual without speaking up to that?
Yes.
Yes. That's how I answer that question.
Like I'm saying, like if you see a person shoot somebody and the other cop sees it and they both right there and you see them shooting them for no apparent reason, like does that make them as bad as that cop?
Oh, you facilitating a crime.
Right.
Yeah, both going to jail.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'd just like to, you guys saw it in that North Charleston video where the officer shoots the man in the back several times.
Yeah.
That was outrageous. That was criminal. That was murder. And there were some police officers across the country that said when he shot that man in the back, he shot all police officers in the back. Because when people, I mean, that image is burnished in everybody's mind. That was an act of murder. Okay? Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
North Charleston, South Carolina. What was it, a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay, that was murder. That was outrageous. That was unjustified. I mean, there's nothing. But then when people see that, they're like, look at these cops. I'm going to tell you something. Over 35 years with the Milwaukee Police Department, I've seen a lot of cops that should not be cops. I've seen some cops that are actual criminals that put this uniform on. Okay? Usually, by hook or by crook, they end up getting either fired. Hopefully, they get discovered before they can hurt someone. Okay? But in every profession, whether you're doctors, there's some bad doctors. There was a doctor some years ago that was trying to do a C-section and severed a 18-year-old's descending aorta, and she bled to death from a simple cesarean birth. You have bad doctors, you got bad attorneys, police officers, bankers, things like that. Everybody's not gonna be a model professional in any profession. There are cops that shouldn't be cops. There's no doubt about it. As far as going back to your question, cops are under a lot of pressure. Everybody's gonna, if somebody saw this video, some cops said they would be like, I can't believe the captain said that. But there's a lot of cops under pressure not to snitch on other cops. Okay? It's a lot of pressure. Okay? Because what happens is that as far as trust is concerned, you want to be able to trust that when I call for help and somebody's kicking my butt, these other police officers are going to come and respond to me rather than just ignore my call because all of a sudden they want me to get hurt because I'm a snitch, things like that. That has happened, and it will happen in the future, okay? But like I said, this is a maturation process. You mature as a police officer, and you realize that this is wrong, I'm not going to go down, because now what they'll do is instead of just firing you, they will send you to jail. The officer in North Charleston, did you guys see him throw the taser down by the body?
Oh, yeah.
So now he's going to say that the man had the taser. I don't know what's going to happen to that officer that was standing next to him or kneeling next to him. Allegedly, I don't know if he was even doing that, but allegedly giving this man first aid. I don't know what's going to happen to that officer, and he's African American, but that was wrong on so many levels. And the answer to the question is that if you're going to be complicit in misconduct, then you're just as bad.
Jasmine.
I think we've got time for about one more final question.
Jasmine had her hand up.
My question is, do you think that generation-wise, meaning like, say for example, what you said, how like when your generation you could do stuff, go out and do stuff, go to the movies and this and that. And I was saying, do that put our black community in of a more threat? Am I explaining that right? Like, do the generation put our community in like more or worse?
Generationally, I'm gonna go back to what Mr. Royal said. He said that we had things to do, okay? And what happens is that you're gonna find trouble, either by accident or intentionally. If you're sitting here, what did they say? Idle time is the devil's workshop or something like that. So sooner or later, you're gonna end up getting in trouble if you don't have something constructive to do, some constructive outlets. Mr. Royal just brought back a memory when we were over on 16th and Finn at Lindbergh Park, right behind Keith Avenue School, ice skating with our scarves around. And I remember as a little boy, ma'am, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Terrified because some people were skating too fast. And then flying up and down, they would just put the hoses out and the water would freeze. And then you had an ice skating rink right there, 16th and Nash, right behind Keith Avenue School. There were things to do. Incarnation Church with the 4-H. They had campfire girls. I was in Boy Scouts for 7 years. My brother was just riding his motorcycle the other day. As soon as it got warm enough to go out, he's a retired deputy chief from the fire department, and he was out riding his brand new Harley out in Okamawalk, and he said, Eric, he said, I just rode past Indian Mound Reservation. I used to go there, Indian Mound IMR, out there in Okamawalk as a Boy Scout for a week long in a big cabin with 32 other scouts and things. Those were things to do. There were constructive things that kept us out of trouble. So now we're scouting, we're tobogganing, we're ice skating on a lake out in Okamawalk rather than stealing cars or sticking up people. I had a cousin, Donald Harris, that tried to do a robbery on 29th and Mount Vernon back in 1969. And he was gunned down by the guy he was trying to rob. So, I mean, we had examples as kids of what could happen to you if you were going the wrong way. Generationally, you guys don't have as many diversions. I mean, healthy, constructive diversions. I mean, things to do. Then I think
Do you think we can improve that though?
Yeah, you can improve that, but when you get that opportunity, show your best side. Show your best side. Always put your best foot forward. When you do get that opportunity, because it's going to be a test. They're going to gradually see how far they will allow you until you show them that you don't earn that opportunity. So every little opportunity that you have that is pleasurable, appreciate it.
We are going to run out of time. However, I'm thinking if we could extend this, if you don't mind, gentlemen, maybe 10 to 15 more minutes. Of course. And I can vouch for you guys being late to your third period, if that's okay to you.
You better talk outside. Yeah.
Abdir? No. Any questions for Mr. Royal or Mr. Moore?
Oh, I was gonna say, how they were talking about we don't have enough things to do. I believe we do. They don't do it. Period. There's plenty of resources.
So you're saying there's a lack of motivation. There are the resources, but there's a lack of motivation and mindset to actually to utilize the resources.
But we the ones who messed all that up, though.
No.
We definitely messed up all the age stuff. That was not nobody.
We gotta stay.
Even old enough to do anything.
I'm saying though, it was the teenagers though. It was the young kids, like the all people. They have to have ID now because the little teenagers got to steal in the clubs and all.
Fighting and jumping.
Exactly. So that was all a part of. I'm not saying us, but that was a part of the people around our age.
Yeah, I see.
That was our fault, not nobody else.
It wasn't ours.
you want to speak on
Theirs.
Well, I think he's echoing what I just said. When you do get that opportunity, put your best foot forward so you don't restrict yourself. Yes, sir.
John?
This question for Eric.
Okay.
Do you think the actions that the police officers make, do you think it affect the criminals on the streets to do more crime?
Say that again.
I said, do you think the actions that the police officers make, do you think that it affect the criminals on the street to do more crime?
So do you think the way police behave out in the community, it causes kids to do more crime?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes. Because I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes kids need a break in a little direction. Okay? It is so easy to arrest someone. Okay? You know, you find a lousy joint, you know, some weed on somebody, you know, okay, you're going in and things like that. I mean, that person has a record immediately. We used to have, when I first came on the police department in 1980, we used to have a bureau called the Youth Aid Bureau, okay? And what happened is that when we started getting any evidence that a kid was starting to take the wrong path, we tried to get them young, okay? 12, 13 years old, you know, going in the red aisle. You guys don't remember that store, but you go into the grocery store and starts, you know, petty theft, stealing candy, things like that. They call the police, and the police would come. Instead of, you know, taking them into the station, you know, young man, we're going to take you and talk to your mom. Take you over to the house. Mom, he was caught, you know, filling his pockets with Snickers and things like that. Stopping kids and giving them instruction can be so beneficial. The Youth Aid Bureau, once they got the information, I'm sorry, I got mixed up here. Once they got the information, the officers would fill out a Youth Aid Bureau referral card. So the Youth Aid Bureau would contact the parents and order the parents into one of the local police stations closest to the parents' house. And then they would have youth aid workers. These were police officers that acted like, you know, like counselors. Right. And what they would do is come in, they'd be like, okay, Johnny, okay, we see that you're starting to get in trouble. You know, you're breaking windows, you're throwing rocks, breaking your neighbor's windows, vandalism, things like that. You know, what's going on with you? You know, and they try to create some dialogue and a healthy relationship with the child. To try to, we're not going to be successful all. You know, some are going to go that wrong path no matter what you do, no matter what counseling you give them. But at least we had that. This broken windows that Mr. Royal talked about, you know, zero tolerance, you arrest everybody for every little thing, that destroyed the Youth Aid Bureau, and they got rid of it. But that was really community policing at its best, okay? So now when police officers just immediately, oh, throw them in jail, throw them in jail, throw them in jail. And not every police officer has that mindset. But the police officers who do, a lot of times when he said try to keep your arrest, you know, your record clean as far as arrests being a barrier to you being successful, a lot of times once the officers get that rolling, you know, getting you in the system, you never get out.
I already told you.
Like, I agree with.
Okay.
I gotta go back. When you said, and okay. First of all, I had a question because like when stuff go down, like every time it's a riot, like that's not helping. Like, what is another way that we can get our point across? Because all they're gonna do is shut down. Secondly, back to what Abdare said, just because that happened one time, they don't gotta blame everybody. Like, with the whole mall thing, like I think it's sad that you can't go to the mall and you like 16 and stuff without an adult. Cause I've been stopped at the mall plenty times and I'm getting being kicked out the mall. I forgot what you said, but yeah, I forgot. But,
You want to talk about, Mr. Roy, you want to talk about the riots? She said that she doesn't know if the riots are helpful as far as drawing attention. Riots draw attention to an issue that would usually be buried, but I'll let you speak on that.
So let's define rioting versus civil discourse. You have a right to redress the government when the policies that are affecting you are wrong. So you should be out and demonstrating, not rioting, not looting, not burning stuff up just because it's there, going in the liquor store